guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video and I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. If you're new to my channel, my name is Christina and I make videos all about saving money, paying off debt, and living your best life in the process. So if any of those topics sound interesting to you, make sure to go ahead and hit the red subscribe button and also give this video a big thumbs up. Okay everyone, I am super excited for today's video because I've never shared a video quite like this one, even though I've been talking about saving money and budgeting on my channel for quite a while now. So for today's video, I'm going to be sharing the exact budget that I've created for myself that I stick to every single month, and I'm going to be sharing the exact numbers that are in my budget and how much I pay towards all of the different bills in my life and all of my different spending categories. But before I share my budget with you guys, and while you're watching this video, I want you to keep in mind that budgets are very personal and the amounts are going to vary greatly depending on the person who created the budget. There are so many different factors that go into creating a budget, like where you live and the cost of living in your area, the amount of money that you make, and your priorities, how much money you're willing to put towards different categories in your life. And if you're someone who doesn't have a budget yet, don't feel bad about that. I always say better late than never. And I think sometimes there's a little bit of mystery surrounding budgeting. Before I started budgeting, I always thought, well, what's the right process to go by, or how should I actually do it? Is there a certain format that I should use? And I think budgeting is a lot more simple than people make it out to be. So all I do is open up a Google Doc and write out all of my categories and how much money I want to spend every month depending on those categories. Once I have it all listed out in a Google Doc, as I'm living my life throughout the month, I'll go back into that Google Doc and subtract money from my categories. This is where online banking and being able to track your transactions is really helpful, because if I ever go a few days without looking at my bank account or tracking what I'm spending, I can always go back into my bank account, look at exactly how much I spent, and then go into my Google Doc and subtract the right amount of money from the right categories. So for example, at the beginning of the month, I start out with a set amount of grocery money, and then when I go grocery shopping, I might spend $75. I'll come home and I'll subtract $75 in that Google Doc from the amount that I started with. This is the easiest way for me to keep on track and to know exactly how much money I have left in my budget, but people do budgeting so many different ways and you just have to find out what works best for you. So I just took a screenshot of my budget in that Google Doc, so I'm just going to be referring back to my phone as I tell you guys the totals and what's included in my budget. So the first category in my budget and the largest amount of money that I have budgeted for every single month is my rent. So every month I pay $1,090 for my rent, and I think this is a really good example of an amount that's going to vary greatly depending on your lifestyle. So maybe you're renting a room and you have roommates. Your rent is obviously going to be a lot cheaper than my rent would be. Or maybe you're lucky enough to live with your parents and you're currently saving up money. In that case, they might be letting you live with them for free and you won't even have a rent category in your budget. So everybody is different depending on your own personal situation. Actually, where I live in Halifax, $1,090 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment is a steal. The rental market is absolutely insane in Halifax, and it is very common for people to pay $1,600 for a 1-bedroom apartment. The next category in my budget is internet costs, and this one breaks my heart a little bit because I know it's high. So we don't pay for cable, we don't have home phone, we only pay for Bell fiber op internet. It's very high speed, which I need for YouTube, but we pay $126.44 every month. So the fact that I'm paying over $100 for just internet is very sad. I have tried to call them and lower it, but they always tell me that there's nothing that they can do. And I know I could go to a different provider, but honestly, it's just a little bit of a headache. I just haven't mustered up the courage to call around and maybe try and switch providers. I probably should do that because I would be saving a lot of money, but for now, that is what we pay for our internet. So in Nova Scotia, at least for Aaron and I living in an apartment, we get our power bill every second month, but even though we only get a bill every second month, I still budget out money to put towards our power bill. So every single month, I put $110 towards our power bill, and then that usually always covers the cost. We might be a few dollars over or a few dollars short, but that's okay, and we just adjust for that when we get the bill. Another category we have in our budget is groceries, and every month we put aside $350 for our grocery bill. This just includes groceries. It doesn't include takeout and going out to restaurants. I know some people do like to budget a certain amount for takeout food, but we don't. We only budget for groceries. I find if I put money aside for spending or takeout or restaurants, I'll end up spending that money, and I'll often spend more than I would if I just didn't don't budget for that, if that makes sense, because I see the money is there for takeout, so I want to spend it on takeout. But if I don't put that money aside, I'm not going to spend it. I know this doesn't work for everybody. A lot of people do like to budget for spending and things like that because then it gives them that allowance to be able to go spend that money. But for me, it just doesn't work. So we only budget for groceries when it comes to our food. The last few months, I've actually been doing really well on lowering our grocery bill, so I haven't been spending quite the $3.50 on food, but I still budget $3.50 just in case. The next item in our budget is my student loan, which is $92.73 every month. And the reason why this number is included in my budget is because this gets taken out of my account at the end of the month, whether I like it or not. I can always put extra money towards my loan if I feel like I have the money, but that is the minimum payment that comes out every month. Another item that we budget for every month is the Halifax Harbour Bridge, which is $30 a month. So if you're not familiar with Nova Scotia and the Halifax area, there's a big bridge in Halifax that you have to pay a toll in order to cross. So we have this little thing that's called a MAC pass, and it goes in our car. Every single time we cross the bridge, a little signal goes to that MAC pass and then charges our account. The next category in our budget is gas for our cars, and every month we pay $200 in gas for both of our vehicles. Like a lot of the categories in our budget, this will fluctuate depending on how much driving we're doing. But for my full-time job as a youth employment counselor, I do outreach work, so I'm on the road constantly and I'm always meeting youth in different parts of the community. But the good thing about my job is that I always get reimbursed at the end of the month for how much I'm traveling, like for my mileage. So I always do get a little bit of gas money back at the end of the month. Another category we have here in our budget is apartment insurance. So every month we pay $19.81 towards our apartment insurance. Another item in our budget is our car payment, the same car that I'm trying to pay off in my debt-free journey. So every month we pay $200 towards our car payment. That's $99 every 2 weeks. Okay, before I share this next category, let's just take a moment of silence, mentally prepare ourselves for what I'm about to share with you. Our next budgeting category is our car insurance, and I know it's bad, so just prepare yourself. $345 a month we pay to drive our cars. It's very high, I think, after comparing with a couple different people, and the reason why our car insurance is so high is because Aaron is seen as a high-risk driver. Trust me when I say Aaron is a very safe driver. I hate driving, so he's the one that does all of the driving in our relationship. He's great, but just with a little bit of bad luck, he had a tiny fender bender a few years ago, and then he got a ticket for a traffic violation. So an at-fault accident mixed with a ticket is just like the worst combination. So now we are paying the price. I actually called a couple car insurance companies that said they wouldn't even insure us. And I was like, oh my God, you're making me feel like I should be in jail or something. Whew. Now that we're done talking about car insurance, the next category we have in our budget is health insurance, and that is $146 a month for both Aaron and I. We go through private insurance, like not through our jobs, because that is just a whole other story, a big headache. So I decided to just find private insurance for both Aaron and I, and it works well for us. And I think $146 is pretty good for health insurance for 2 people. The next category that we have budgeted for is Adobe Programs, and this is primarily for YouTube. So every month I pay $51.62 for Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe Lightroom for my photos. So I use Premiere Pro for all of my video editing, and then I use Lightroom for my photo editing. Another item in our budget is PlayStation, and do not ask me any questions about this because I have no idea. Aaron is the one that likes playing games and has his little PlayStation stuff. I saw the recurring payment of $12 every single month coming out of our account, so I added that to the budget, and honestly, I don't really know what it's for. I just trust that it's for him and that he's having fun with it. Another amount that we have budgeted for is my phone bill, which is $100 every month. Aaron's phone bill is actually still covered by his parents, which he is very grateful for, but my parents are just not as nice, I guess. I'm totally kidding, but they kicked me off of the family plan and they made me get my own. The next category in our budget is TubeBuddy, which is $12 a month. And if you're not a YouTube creator, you might be wondering what it is. Basically, TubeBuddy is an extension that you can add onto your YouTube account, and it helps you with video titles and coming up with search terms and like ranking for SEO and things like that. It just helps you out with your YouTube channel. And the very last category that we have included in our budget is Amazon Prime, which is $16 a month. I believe that includes Amazon Prime and then another like channel that Aaron had to subscribe to on Amazon Prime. I don't really know, he did it, but we do pay $16 towards Amazon every month. And if you're wondering why Netflix is not on here, we do have a Netflix account, but we are lucky enough to use my parents' account. So in total, every month we have $2,701.60 allotted towards different categories and bills in our life. So each, that is $1,350.80 that we each put towards the budget. And of course, there are some things that we spend our money on that aren't necessarily included in the budget, but for the most part, the majority of our money does go towards the things included in that budget. Every now and again, we might buy a little treat for ourselves, or we might go out to a restaurant, and we just like to keep a close eye on our budget so that we can see how much extra money we have for that month and how much we can really splurge on things like treats and takeout. If you've been following my debt-free journey, you'll also know a big priority in my life is putting money towards my debt, so that's also something that I like to keep in mind as I'm going through my budget during the month. Okay, everyone, that is it. You now know exactly how much money I spend in basically every area of my life. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and also hit the red subscribe button. Oh, and don't forget to leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think of my budget. Are there some areas where I way overspend in your eyes, or are there areas that I underspend compared to your budget? But I just really want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and down below in the description you'll find my Etsy shop, my Facebook page, my Instagram account, all of that kind of stuff, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!